You guys, I thought I wanted to live an extraordinary life. I don't think I did. I didn't want to turn on the camera and start talking right now, but I knew I had to because I know there's somebody out there right now that needs to hear this. They need to hear that they can do extraordinary things, that they are one decision away from actually doing extraordinary things. But for the longest time, I lied to myself. I lied to myself and I lied to others. I talked about wanting to do extraordinary things. I talked about wanting to do all of this stuff. And I would fantasize about it. But then I would make up all these excuses of why I couldn't do it, why now is not the right time, why it's just beyond my reach, why I need to focus on other stuff, all the while trying to convince myself that I actually wanted to do those things. Lying to yourself is one of the biggest things holding nearly everyone back. Learning to get honest with yourself. Once I realized I was the biggest obstacle in my life, that is when I had major breakthroughs. That is what led me to being able to live out here in paradise and enjoy every single bit of it. Because I took my own coaching, all the things that I say in my book, and I applied them to my life. I actually started showing up consistently each and every day. And it was my consistent behavior and actions and decisions that led me to say, I'm going to move 1,700 miles across the country to go live in the mountains because that's what I've said I want to do. Because I don't just want to fantasize about a fucking extraordinary life. I actually want to live an extraordinary life. I don't want to fantasize about all the things I'm going to do. I just want to go do them. And once I made that decision, and there's that key word again, decision, because so many people, myself included, the biggest thing holding me back was actually learning to make solid decisions. Because there's so much power in a decision. When you really make that decision and you say, I'm going to do this. I don't care what it takes. I am willing to sacrifice endlessly to bring this into fruition. And it's only then that the resources start showing up in your life. At least that's how it was for me. It was only then that I started to get more resourceful. Because it wasn't my resources holding me back, it was my resourcefulness. So I would say that I wanted an extraordinary life, and I would dream about it. But I wasn't willing to make a decision and a commitment for it. Because here's the thing about commitments and decisions. They're actually defined by that which you're willing to sacrifice for it. And so that's what you run into with a lot of people. They say, oh man, I wish I could be there. Oh man, I wish I could do that. And the thing is, they're not willing to actually sacrifice in order to be able to live an extraordinary life. So they're stuck maybe in mediocre or maybe in good, but not in great. They're held back from their greatness when they could be way further along. But you have to be willing to sacrifice for it. You have to be willing to go through discomfort. You have to be willing to push past your boundaries, real and perceived. And most of the boundaries, they're just fucking perceived. They're not real. You and I both know. I mean, think about a time in your life, right here. Think about a time in your life where you thought there was a boundary that you just couldn't cross, a barrier that you couldn't get over. And then you decided you were going to get over it. And you did. You decided you were going to lose that 20 pounds. You decided you wanted to get a raise. You decided you were no longer going to tolerate the circumstances in your life. And what did you do? You actually made it happen. Because you can when you make a decision to actually make it happen. And that's just the thing. That's what I'm here to remind somebody out there of, is that if you say you want to live an extraordinary life, don't just say that. Go do it. Don't let there be excuses. Look, somebody is not coming home tonight. Somebody is not waking up tomorrow morning. You don't know if it's you. You don't know if it's somebody that you love. You don't know who it is. But if you're hoping and dreaming, and you're not taking daily, consistent action that is actually delivering results. I'm not talking about the consistent action, because that's the thing that plagues so many men. They're consistent, but they don't get results. And that's the worst thing in the world. The worst thing in the world is showing up repeatedly on low value activities, showing up repeatedly on activities that actually aren't bringing you closer to where you want to be. Because there's a gap in your life. There's a gap somewhere between who you visualize yourself as and who you're actually being. And then who you visualize yourself out, who you're being, and who you could be. And your goal is to close that gap. Your goal is to actually be the best person you can be. At least that's my goal. And I think that there's a lot of people, they get caught up in purpose, trying to figure out what their purpose is. And if they would just focus on being the best version of themselves that they absolutely could, where would it take them? Where would it take you if you showed up tomorrow and you were actually just the best version of yourself you absolutely could be? Where could you go? What could you do? So, bringing this video to a close here. Here I am. I live in the mountains out in Idaho. I live in paradise. And a month ago, well, about 2 months ago, I made a decision. I was moving out of Dallas. I lived in the heart of Dallas, in the city, and I've had a wonderful time in Dallas. I've had an extraordinary life, and I'm so grateful for it, and I'm so blessed. But I decided I was no longer going to tolerate that. Because what you tolerate, you will get. And when I said, I'm no longer doing this, I said, okay, packed it up, moved out of Dallas within a month, because I just made a decision. I didn't even know where I was going to go yet. I just knew a general area. And then I got resourceful. And that is the thing. When you decide to get resourceful, when you decide to make a decision, you will figure it out. You will make it happen. You will find somebody. You will find something. You will find a place within yourself. You will figure out that you are more than you even thought that you were. You didn't even know how much is in there. And when you go there, that's when your life will change. That's when you will start living a truly extraordinary life. Be great.